Hello, and welcome to the STAR 101 session for grades K through 12. My name is Priscilla Mendez, and I am the Renaissance District Consultant for the School District of Philadelphia. Today, I will be sharing the purpose of STAR testing, some basic information regarding the differences between the computer adaptive tests and the curriculum-based measures, how to administer STAR assessments, some key metrics, and we will end with key reports. So let's begin with what is the purpose of STAR testing. There are many uses for STAR testing, but the district focuses on leveraging the platform to help answer the questions listed on this slide. These questions can serve as anchors when reviewing assessment data and planning next steps based on student performance on the computer adaptive tests and curriculum-based measures. Now we are going to move on to review the differences between our computer adaptive tests and curriculum-based measures. Within the school district, all students in grades K through 12 are administered the computer adaptive tests, which include STAR Early Literacy, STAR Reading, and STAR Math. Curriculum-based measures in math are administered to students in grades K to 3, and reading measures are administered to students in grades K to 5. There are some important differences between the computer adaptive assessments and the curriculum-based measures. The CATs are administered via an electronic device and take most students less than 20 minutes to complete. Each question has a time limit, but the option for extended time is available. It assesses multiple domains and questions adapt based on student responses. Once students have completed the assessment, they will receive a scale score as well as additional criterion and normed reference scores that educators can use for planning purposes. On the other side, we see our CBMs, which are administered one-to-one and are timed 60-second assessments. The timing of the measures cannot be altered. Each measure has a single focus, and they can be administered online, via printed forms, or a mixed format. Unlike the computer adaptive tests, these are fixed forms and do not change based on how students respond. Educators will receive item-level data as well as norm and benchmarks when available. Regardless of whether the CATs or CBMs are being administered, both can be used as universal screeners to progress monitor students and will both provide valid and reliable data. The purpose of a STAR computer adaptive test is to pinpoint a student's current ability level and to monitor their growth over time. Questions are adapted in real time depending on their success in answering a previous question. A correct answer means that the next question will increase in terms of difficulty. An incorrect answer means the next question will decrease in terms of difficulty. The standard error decreases the deeper into the test the student goes, ultimately providing a scale score that aligns with a student's ability. The computer adaptive test STAR offers are STAR Early Literacy, STAR Reading, and STAR Math. Students who are not independent readers should begin taking STAR Early Literacy. It assesses students in grades K to 2 within the district across 3 domains, including numeracy skills. The assessment has 27 questions, and headphones are required for this assessment as the questions and answer choices are read aloud to students. Once students are independent readers or have received a scale score of 852 or higher on the STAR Early Literacy assessment, students can move on to take the STAR Reading and STAR Math assessments. These are normed and available for students in grades K to 12. Both STAR Reading and STAR Math assessments are 34-question assessments. STAR Reading assesses students across 5 reading domains, while STAR Math assesses students across 4 math domains. An important note regarding STAR Math is that students are not permitted to use their own calculators, as the platform will provide an embedded calculator for questions that require the use of one. The domains within the STAR Reading and STAR Math both align to Common Core, as well as the PSSA and Keystone assessment anchors. STAR CBMs, as shared before, are 60-second assessments that are administered one-to-one. These assessments use a correct per minute, or CPM score, which differs from the computer adaptive scaled score. CBMs also provide item-level data, whereas CATs provide domain-level data. There are 6 CBM measures for reading that begin assessing students' understanding of letters and sounds, moving on to basic phonological awareness and early decoding, and then progress to passage reading. There are 7 CBM measures for math that begin assessing students' ability to recognize numerals and their value, and progress to basic facts in addition, subtraction, and multiplication. Now we are going to review some basic information regarding STAR administration for the 2022-23 school year. For this school year, STAR will be administered to all students during 3 mandatory testing windows in the fall, winter 1, and spring window. There is an additional optional winter 2 testing window. Guidance regarding this window will come directly from assistant superintendents or leadership at a school site. During mandatory testing windows, all students in K to 5 are expected to be screened with both the STAR CATs and CBMs. All students in grades 6 through 12 are expected to be screened with the STAR CATs. It is critical that all students are testing within these dates listed for all mandatory testing windows in order to measure student growth across the school year. The next 2 slides review the testing requirements for the fall of 2022 by grade level. These 3 slides show the CBMs that are to be administered during this school year. Please note that all measures stay consistent across all testing windows, with the exception of first grade, where letter sounds is to be administered only during the fall window. The next few slides will review the student experience engaging with the computer adaptive tests. Students will access their STAR assessments via the Renaissance STAR tile on the student launchpad. Once they've entered the platform, they will see a screen similar to this. When attempting to enter a STAR assessment, they will be prompted to enter a password. For the fall testing window, the password is admin. As mentioned earlier in the presentation, there are item time limits on the computer adaptive test. Principals, assistant principals, STAR champions, or other staff with school-level STAR access can assign time extensions for students within the STAR portal. Time extensions should only be provided to students whose IEPs call for time extensions. The district is also able to see which students received extensions on assessments. Another important note involves the practice questions provided to students before taking a CAT. If students do not answer the practice questions correctly, they will not be able to access the test. If they answer them correctly, the students will be able to proceed and take the test. On the next 5 slides, we will review sample test items as well as highlight some features embedded within the platform. So you will notice at the top left of each question, it displays what question number a student is working on. And while some questions have 4 multiple choice answers, some only have 3 to choose from. Located at the top right of each question is a stop button. If pressed by a student, the teacher has 3 options. They may cancel the action if a student accidentally pressed the button and allow the student to resume testing. They can stop the test if a fidelity concern has arisen, or they can resume tests later if the student is potentially going home for the day or needs to complete the testing at a later time. If this particular option is chosen, a student has 8 days to complete the assessment from the point at which they paused the test. After 8 days, the student will have to start the test from the very beginning. The last feature I would like to point out is a picture of a clock at the top of the screen that signifies there is only 15 seconds left to answer the question. Once the 15 seconds has expired, the platform will automatically move a student on to the next question. The next two slides will review the testing experience for CBMs. There are 3 ways CBMs can be administered. The first way is online. This means that both the student and teacher are on a computer or tablet. Using this administration method allows for remote administration as well as recording on a student device as permitted by district and school policies. Print administration requires the fixed forms to be printed for both teachers and students. The platform will provide which form to print out for students, and the scores will be manually entered by the teacher into the platform once that 60-second assessment has been administered. The last type of administration is mixed format. This is when a student has a printed form, but the teacher is scoring the measure on their computer. This type of administration allows for the teacher to record audio from their device, again, as permitted by districts and school policies. This is a screenshot of what a passage oral reading measure looks like. You will notice the form number on the top left-hand corner that tells the teacher which form they should be administering for print or mixed administration. You will also notice the timer that counts down the 60 seconds a student has to complete the measure. This time should not be shortened or extended. In this section of the presentation, we're going to review some key STAR metrics that support with informing instruction. The first metric is the scale score. This is the most foundational score the CATs provide and is the basis for other metrics. It is calculated based on the number of questions answered correctly, as well as the difficulty of those questions. Another metric is the percentile rank, which describes how a student's scale score compares to other students nationally who are in the same grade during the same testing window. This metric is also how benchmark categories are calculated. The instructional reading level is calculated after a student completes a STAR reading test, and this describes the highest reading level at which the student is at least 80% proficient at comprehending material with assistance. Two important things to note regarding benchmark categories for the computer adaptive tests. The first being that there are 4 categories that students can be placed into: at or above, on, strategic intervention, and intensive intervention. The second being the cutoff for at or above benchmark for math is 70 PR and above, whereas for reading, it is 40 PR or above. This differs when you're looking at CBM benchmark categories, as there's only 3, at or above, on, watch, and intervention. You will also see that the cutoff for at or above for CBMs is consistent with 40 PR and above for both reading and math. The correct per minute score is the foundational score for CBMs. This number is estimated to account for the level of difficulty of a particular form. The last metric we will review is the student growth percentile, or SGP. This metric describes a student's relative growth to the growth of their academic peers. Much like percentile rank, SGP is scored on a 1 to 99 scale. 50 SGP is roughly equivalent to making 1 year's growth. Therefore, an SGP of 50 or greater means you're making up ground, whereas an SGP of less than 50 means you are losing ground. So let's look at an example of how SGP is calculated. This is Krista. She is a 7th grade student. Krista took a STAR CAT in the winter and scored a scale score of 775. In the fall, she had scored a 742 scale score. So between the fall and the winter, Krista grew 33 points. However, without more context, we have no way of knowing whether Krista grew a lot or a little. So this is where SGP comes into play. To begin calculating SGP, we need to start off by comparing Krista to her academic peers. Remember, an academic peer is a student in the same grade level with a similar previous STAR performance. So the first step of calculating Krista's SGP is to line her up against other 7th grade students who scored a 742 scale score in the fall. This graph describes how much Krista grew relative to her peers. Krista grew as much or more than 42% of her academic peers. This means that Krista's SGP is a 42. 42% of Krista's academic peers grew less than 33 scale score points from the fall to the winter. Lastly, because SGP is calculated across testing windows, it is important that students participate in the fall, winter, and spring testing windows to measure growth that has occurred to each student across that entire school year. The very last section of our presentation focuses on key reports. In order to access STAR reports, you will need to navigate to your Renaissance tile. Once you get to your landing page, you can click on Reports and then pick STAR/Assessment. There are over 30 reports to choose from. They are organized by the overarching purpose of the reports, such as screening and instructional planning, growth and progress, state performance and mastery, and test status and results. One report that is really emphasized is the STAR screening report. This report is ideal for getting a high-level overview of how students across a class or a grade performed on the STAR assessment. Additionally, teachers can dig into the data at the individual student level to see which students fell into each benchmark category. They can also come to this report to see which students still need to take the STAR assessments this window. Another report that is very valuable is the STAR record book. This report allows teachers to see how their students performed on each of the curriculum-based measures they were assessed in. From here, teachers can also set and track CBM goals for progress monitoring. A third report teachers are encouraged to utilize is the STAR growth report. This report is ideal for a number of reasons. First, it shows multiple test events in one report, which is beneficial for looking at change in student performance over time. Second, this report contains most of the key metrics that teachers will focus on, including SGP, scale score, percentile rank, and instructional reading level. Finally, this report allows you to see the amount of time the students spent on the test for each assessment window. Thus, you can see if students are rushing through the assessment, which can be attributed to drops in scores. A fourth and final report that is emphasized with schools is the STAR Instructional Planning Report. This report not only highlights some key performance indicators for each student, but it also shows a list of skills that the STAR platform recommends each student work on based on their performance on the universal screener. As we wrap up this presentation, I want to quickly share some resources. If you have not reviewed these folders or documents before, they contain an abundance of information and content that is helpful for those that are new to STAR testing, as well as those that are more seasoned teachers and leaders. Lastly, if you ever have any questions or concerns regarding STAR testing within the district, you're always welcome to reach out to starassessment@philasd.org for support. Please also note there is a help icon and live chat feature when you are in the Renaissance platform. Clicking on those can also provide invaluable support rather quickly. Thank you for your time, and I hope you found this information helpful.